Oh, to live meeting?
Got it. Yeah. I'll start this as well.
Okay. I'm just going to make my screen small.
All right, you're like.
Oh. Hi, everybody. My name is Reema Awasthi, and I'm a registered migration agent at Aussizz Group Adelaide. And today I'm going to be speaking to you about South Australia state nomination and the recent updates that we've had last month. And then I'm going to answer your questions at the end of the session. So thank you so much for joining me today. And so I'm going to speak on the recent updates. So we'll just start with that, a little background on what's going on with the SA nomination, and then I can do the Q&A at the end of this. I'll have a quick something prepared, but I'm not going to be sharing my screen with you. So it's just going to be a little chat that I'll have at the beginning of the session and then Q&A at the end. So let's start. So SA has recently, this Commonwealth government provided advice of its decision to significantly reduce visa nomination allocations for South Australia's GSM program for this financial year. And it's a drastic reduction in the number of places that we've had from last financial year. Last year, we had 8,800 places allocated to the state, whereas this year, we've got 2,300 places, which is a big reduction in the number of places, and it's got a lot of people worried about their eligibility criteria, and us worried as well, because we've got a lot of people waiting, and we're really hopeful that this year would be better. So there are 1,100 places for subclass 190 and 1,200 for subclass 491. And then the South Australian government has also mentioned that they will continue to support SA's priority industries with the limited places available, including their focus on attracting overseas skilled migrants in critical sectors such as health and defense. Now, you would all be knowing what is the basic criteria. So the basic criteria for all applicants is that you must be below 45 years of age, have a valid and positive skills assessment in your nominated occupation, have at least completed in English, unless your occupation requires registration or licensing or a higher English requirement, and at least score 65 points in the department's points tested, the points test, including state nomination points. There are different streams. You would be knowing that there are only 3 streams now. So one is the that's 4 streams. One is the SA graduate, the working in South Australia, highly skilled and talented, and then offshore. So the basic criteria that I've mentioned applies for most of those streams. For the SA graduate, how would you know if you're an SA graduate? Well, obviously you're an SA graduate if you've studied in South Australia. But you must have completed your qualification in SA. The course must be registered for 46 weeks, which is half the year. Usually courses are for 2 academic years. If you're doing a master's, or then bachelor's is 3 years or 4 years. And minimum 50% of that course should be completed in South Australia. You must be residing in SA for at least 12 months. When you meet that requirement, you're considered an SA graduate. You must meet the minimum qualification level listed in your occupation. You must have been residing in South Australia for at least 12 months. And you must have been working in your occupation. So everybody has to be working in their nominated occupation for at least 6 months, 30 hours a week. And then your nominated occupation, it is usually your nominated occupation or closely related occupation that they are considering for for all of the occupations for that matter. And the skill levels should be the same as your nominated occupation. So what does this mean? So if you're basically applying for an ANSCO code that starts with 26, then the first 2 digits of the code should be the same. So if you've got your skills assessment, say as a software engineer, that is, I think it's 26, then you can work as a software tester, developer, programmer, any of these occupations, ICT business analyst, systems analyst, which start with 26, and then that work experience would be considered for you as relevant and in the nominated or related occupation. And you must have undertaken this work experience post course completion. So if you're an essay graduate, then yes, if you've done your master's, then that work experience has to be post course completion. And then the other stream, this was the essay graduate that I just spoke on. The other stream is working in South Australia. The basic criteria obviously is the same, that you must be below 45 years of age. You've got 65 points. You've got completed English. You've got your skills assessment and stuff like that. And then what else is there for the working in South Australia stream? The same thing. You've been residing in SA for 12 months. You've been working for at least 6 months, 30 hours per week, and in the nominated or closely related occupation. And you've undertaken your skills work experience post course completion. So, whichever course you're considering for your occupation, then post that course completion. And there's the highly talented and highly talented stream. Earlier, this stream was available to all applicants. So all occupations would be eligible for this stream. But this year, what they are saying is that you can apply from overseas or interstate if you're going to go in for the highly talented stream. You need not be in South Australia. You need not be living in South Australia for 12 months or anything. You can apply from interstate as well. And this stream is for those who can contribute to the state's critical priority sectors. If you're working or offered an occupation in SA, your employer must meet the annual turnover requirements that they've got on their website, which is the existing business in SA for at least 12 months and operating in South Australia. It must be located in South Australia and operating in South Australia, have an annual turnover for 4 million. They usually waive that if it's a startup company. It may be exempt from having that annual turnover. And regional SA businesses may be exempt as well from that annual turnover requirement. And defense sector businesses may be exempt as well from that annual turnover requirement. This stream is only open to those applicants with high tech or digital industry experience. Earlier, it was open to all applicants. Anyone could apply through the highly talented stream. This year, they want you to be only working in high tech in those occupations or those professions listed on their website. So I'll just read it out for you. AI specialist, cybersecurity analyst, and there's robotics engineer, blockchain developer, few of them, then advanced manufacturer. So they've just listed few professions, and if you're working in that profession,
So they're saying like you're speaking like slow, but like the fast speech, so they can't understand. So
oh,
like, slow.
so but you can hear me, right?
I can
Sorry.
hear you, but it's too fast for them to understand.
Okay, so I've got a feedback that the speed is too much. I apologize for that. I'm a very fast speaker, but I will go slow, and I hope I'm audible to you all. Yeah, so let's continue from. I hope I was audible earlier. I don't know. So, what I was talking about is the highly talented stream that you can apply from overseas. Just one moment. Okay. So, what I was talking about is the highly talented stream that people can apply from overseas or from interstate. And this stream is for those who can contribute to the SA's critical priority sector. If you're offered a job in South Australia, your employer must be located in South Australia. They must have the annual turnover that is listed on their website, which is $4 million. And this stream is open to those with high tech or digital experience, so professions listed on that website. And the applicant must have at least 2 years work experience in those critical technology professions listed on the website under that stream. And applicants with defense, and yeah, this is also available for those applicants who are working or intend to work in the defense or space industry experience in the defense or space industry. And then the last one is the offshore stream. Some occupations are not available for this stream, for the offshore stream. So you must actually check if your occupation is available or not for this offshore stream. There are no set dates for South Australia's offshore invitation rounds. South Australia does not have a invitation round. They just invite as per their criteria and their requirements. But what they have said is that for offshore, they're going to be assessing candidates on the merits and the following factors, which is years of experience in their field, the English language ability, and the EOI points. So, what's not there this financial year, which has been a surprise to a lot of applicants, the long term residence stream where people had used could apply after 5 years of living in South Australia, that is not there this financial year. And the regional South Australia stream where people could work in any occupation by living in regional South Australia is again not there this financial year. All applications have to be through an ROI unless only due to less places. So only through an ROI. So if you're applying onshore, it has to be through an ROI. And if you're applying offshore, it has to be through an expression of interest, EOI. And this process this financial year is very competitive. So there are not everybody who applies for it. This program year would be invited. So you need to look at other visa options also by checking the criteria for the other visa options. Who will they prioritize this year? SA government has announced that they will consider a range of factors when determining who is invited to apply for SA nomination to ensure candidates are suitably prioritized. Which means that if your 485, if your temporary visa is expiring before 31st August next year, your application may be prioritized. If you're turning 45 before the same date, August 2024, your application may be prioritized. They've also mentioned that if you've got a temporary visa and your 485 is expiring next financial year, and if you've got an option to extend your 485, you should do that and not wait for your state nomination application to come through. And then they are also going to prioritize the people who've got those many years of skilled work experience in their field. And then the type of skilled employment in South Australia would be prioritized. So if you're working in health and medicine, trades and construction, early childhood and teaching, digital technology, food and agribusiness, creative industries, tourism and hospitality would be prioritized. If you're working in these sectors, your application can be prioritized. So we're just going to start. So I've actually spoken about the basic requirements and the program, what it is this year. Like I said, it's very competitive, and not everybody who applies would get their nomination. They are going to prioritize. It's very clear that they're going to prioritize applications based on the state government's requirements and people working in the critical sector, people whose visas are expiring, applicants whose visas are expiring in the next few days or before 31st of August. If they are turning 45 years of age, their application could be prioritized. If you've got a good number of work experience in your field, and if you're working in health and medicine, then yes, obviously your application would be prioritized. You would be a successful candidate in that case then. So we'll start with the question and answers. We'll wait for us to get some Q&A. If you need to ask anything, this is your time. You can shoot. Okay. Okay, so we've got some messages. Okay, so you're saying, can you explain about NSW state nomination? So sorry, I'm not talking about NSW state nomination in this session. It's only South Australia nomination. So if you've got questions for SA, please feel free to ask them. Um, how many ROIs have you filed this year? That's a bit of a confidential information, but I think since they've opened, I have done about maybe 15 ROIs, but we've not got outcomes for those ROIs as yet. So if you're asking me whether anybody has been successful, the answer is no. Um, I've got another one out here that says, I am working in SA as a teacher. I studied in Victoria and have been living in SA, working as a primary school teacher since 6 months, full time. So you got the assessment as a primary school teacher, I assume, and you moved to SA 8 months ago. Am I eligible for SA nomination? So no, you need to finish 12 months work experience. 12 months, you need to be residing in South Australia for 12 months before you apply for your ROI. So you need to finish that 12 months residential in South Australia. Even though you finish 6 months work, you'll need to work for a few more months and then apply. Retail pharma, 85 points, including state nomination. Oh, good. That's good. 4 years work experience and continuing. Yeah, it's a good thing. Retail pharma, you're working in the health sector, so you can try, you can put in your expression of interest. It also depends upon when your visa is expiring. So if your visa is expiring anytime soon, if you're on a 485, then they might prioritize your application. So they are going to be prioritizing applications based on the number of years work experience. And if your visa is expiring and if you are turning 45, any indication of when SA might respond to ROI applications? No, no idea. That's a good question, but we don't know that. Due to divestment in firm, I will be moving to create firm. Shall I advise migration essay about this? I'm sorry, I don't understand. What does this mean? Have you got your nomination and there's a change? Have you lodged your visa and you're moving your job or something like that? Or what is the status of your application? So if you would like to elaborate, that would be really great. It says one is that I've got skills assessment as a customer service manager and have been offered a role as a customer service consultant in SA. Should I take up this job? Will it be relevant to my nomination occupation? So the role as a customer service consultant is not in the same it's not in the same skill level as a customer service manager. It must be in the nominated or closely related occupation. It should have your same ANSCO first two digits of your ANSCO code. So no, if you've got an offer of a customer service consultant or coordinator, it's not in that list and it would not be relevant unless the company is offering you the right job. You could take it up for career advancement or whatever to enhance your career, but it's not going to be suitable for South Australia nomination. Till when can we expect the allocation of SA to be open since it's only limited seats? So what everyone is saying is that South Australia may start inviting people by the end of this year. We see one round happening in December and then maybe next year by March or April. And then the program would definitely close earlier than expected. Usually they close in June, so they would be closing earlier. Mostly, if they run out of the allocation levels, then obviously they will close their program earlier. So if you are eligible for the South Australia nomination, you'd rather submit your ROI and see how it goes. And then if your visa is expiring, then you would want to apply for another visa to keep yourself lawful in South Australia, in Australia. I've got skills assessment for finance manager, but not working in that field. I am an SA graduate in construction since 2020, living in SA since 2019. As for now, sitting at 75 points, my 485 expires in 2026. That's a lot of time left. Got builder contractor's license and certificate 3 in construction. I am working in. Shall I do skills assessment in construction and go that way, or finance manager is still good? So if you've got assessment as a finance manager and you're not working in that occupation, then you would not be eligible for your nomination. You'll not be putting in an ROI because you're not working in the nominated occupation. You said, what are you working in? You're working in construction. You have got your builder's contract license and certificate 3 in construction. I'm not sure what occupation that would come under. We would need to actually assess your profile to see whether you're eligible for skills assessment in construction. From what I know, construction, there is construction manager in the list. There are certain occupations in construction, but I'm not sure which one would fit your profile based on your work experience. So what you can do is contact me at the office, 08822215264. Book a consultation with me, and I can explain, I can assess your profile, and then check if we can get another assessment for you or not. Can you please tell me the chances for getting an invitation for retail and hospital pharmacist at 75.75? You need to also let me know your number of years work experience and when does your 485 or your visa expire. Like I've said, we don't know the chances as yet. South Australia it's like a big question mark as of now. Which occupations would they are sure that they are going to be prioritizing occupations people working in health and medical science, trade and construction. But they've also said that they're going to prioritize those people who've got a lot of work experience whose visas are expiring. So otherwise, if your visa, say your 485, is until 2026 or 2025, your application would not generally be prioritized. So you might have to wait. You can obviously lodge a ROI and see how it goes, and then if it doesn't work, then you might have to wait until the next financial year for because the program changes at the end of every financial year. So what I'm talking about right now is for this financial year. You may be eligible for it in the next financial year then, or maybe some other state for that matter. Okay. He says, I am offshore with no experience. So, no, offshore applicants are being prioritized for those people who've got years of experience, high points, and high English. So, if you've got 75 points for 491, what is your English level? Is it the highest? Try and increase your points. Try and get superior English. Try and do NATI. I think NATI is now become online. So people who are not in Australia can also do NATI sitting overseas, and you can get 5 points extra. You can try doing that. Or if your occupation is there for a 189, you might want to put in a EOI for 189 as well, but then your points would not be 75, it would be 60, and you would not be eligible. So yes, try and increase your points if you're offshore and you've got no work experience. Or then work out other visa options like a student visa or something like that to come onshore. Okay. So I said in the beginning that I'm from Aussizz Group. I'm a registered migration agent, and Aussizz Group, we handle all types of visas. So if you're not eligible for the skilled visa, you might be eligible for another visa, a 485 if your studies are finishing, a 485 extension if your first 485 is expiring, a 485 extension on the basis of the studies that you've done. Maybe you're not aware that your 485 can be valid now for 5 years if you've studied a particular study that's in the list. We do student visas, we do employer sponsored visas, so you can make to see one migration consultants, migration agents, or myself, and look at the best options for you. So, okay, he says, I have lodged my ROI, currently in working for firm, but due to certain circumstances, they're split in firm. I will be joining the new created firm soon. Date is yet to be confirmed. Shall I advise immigration essay about it? So what they say is that if you're onshore, you need to be working in your nominated occupation. If for some reason you've resigned, you're not continuously working, then it could be a problem, because if you get a pre-invite, then they will ask you for your documents. So so if you're not working right now, maybe at the time of pre-invite, you may not have your contract or your documents. You'll have to provide a statement of service and documents like that. So try and get a job in your field, or where did that message go? Sorry. I'm just trying to search for your message again. One moment. Yeah, I'm currently working for firm, but due to certain circumstances, this is split in firm. There is a split in firm, and I will be joining the newly created firm. That date is yet confirmed. If there's a gap, it should be fine, because like I said, if you're invited and they send you a pre-invite, then they're going to ask you for your statement of service and documents. At that time, you can tell them that you've changed your firm, your employment has changed, but you're still working in your nominated occupation, so that should be fine. Hopefully it should be fine, but yeah, you need to be working in your occupation so that your application is successful. Okay, I am in engineering background. I am working in outer region, South Australia, in dairy industry for more than 6 months, and I'm working 30 hours per week. Is there a chance? No. Outer region stream is not there anymore. If you've got your assessment in any of the engineering occupations, then you can be working in regional South Australia, but you need to be working in your nominated or closely related occupation. And if you're working in the dairy industry for more than 6 months, then I don't think that is closely related to your nominated occupation. So you would not be eligible. You could look at other visa options if your visa is currently expiring. You can even look at Dharma. South Australia has got the employer sponsored Dharma occupation list to check if your job in regional South Australia occupation comes in any of those occupations in Dharma. And you could probably check if your employer is ready to sponsor you in any of those visas, mostly 482 with 1 year work experience. Some occupations in the farm industry are in the dairy industry, like if you're working as a maybe I'm not sure which is the occupation in that, but there are certain occupations in the farm and dairy industry and in listed for Dharma. So definitely contact our office to check if there are any options for you. But engineering background, you've got your occupation in engineering. You could probably put an AOI for 189 if you've got good points, if you've already got your occupation assessment as a engineer. But that also may not, because at 189 there are no invites since 2020. How can we get 485 extension in accounting degree? 485, if you've done your accounting degree in regional Australia, the postcodes listed as regional, you would be eligible for a further 1 year extension. The 5 years visa listed, or the 4 years if you've done a bachelor's degree, department announced that they would be giving those applicants, those students who studied bachelor's and master's, a 4 years bachelor's or a 5 years visa for 485. If you studied those courses listed in the newly released list, if I go through my documents, then the newly released list it's called LIN 23/048. LIN 23/048. So if you've studied a course listed in that, I don't think accounting is there in that. Let's have a search. Accounting. No, searching in the wrong document. Sorry. Accounting. So no, there aren't any bachelors or masters of accounting in that list. So you will not be eligible for the 2 years extension, but you could be eligible if you studied in regional Australia for 1 year extension based on you living in regional Australia as well. Study in regional and then lived on regional on your 485. Okay. Any option for people who are waiting to apply under long-term resident and the visa is expiring in May. I am not working in my no, unfortunately not. They've taken out that stream. Isn't that a shame? I had so many people working and living in South Australia for like since 2017, 2018, and that is such a shame. It was such a hopeful stream working in South Australia for long term, living in South Australia for more than 5 years, working in skill level 1, 2, or 3 as support worker. No, that stream is not there. So if you're not working in your nominated field, then no, you will not be eligible this financial year, this year. But then again, look at the other visa options that could be applicable to you. If you have 485 extension, if you have if you can find a job in your field, because they say only 6 months work experience, so you could try to look for a job in your field. It could be hopeful. And then if you have got what else can I suggest to you? If your occupation is in the, you didn't mention what is your occupation, what is your skills assessment in? Okay. Where did the comment go? I'm just searching for the comment. Sorry. Please bear with me. Okay. So I've done that one and I've answered that one. And okay. Yeah, okay. So a long-term resident, the stream is not there. Let me just go on to the next comment. Oh, the screen just keeps going back up to the top of the page. Okay, how do I do this? Right, let's just move it to the big screen. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just going through the comments, and there are a lot of people asking queries, which is good, which is really nice. I'm very happy that a lot of you are inquiring and a lot of you all have joined on this forum. So thank you so much for taking out your time and coming here to listen to me. So I'm just going back up to the comment. What I'm going to do is just copy this onto a Word document. Please bear with me because I can't really look at the queries because they're going up to the main screen again and I have to scroll down to the bottom. Okay, so says you are currently working as pharmacy technician, 70 points. Yeah, it's okay, I'll do it. So it says you're currently working as a pharmacy technician at 70 points ROI, currently on student visa, experience is 10 months full time. But from last 3 months, due to 24 hours limitation, I'm working 24 hours a week. So it says you're working as a farm. So what is your assessment in? Is it in the same occupation as a pharmacy technician? 70 points ROI, currently on student visa. You've been working for 10 months full time, but the last 3 months. So what they want is that you need to be working 30 hours per week. You need to be currently working. So you need to be currently employed for 30 hours a week. You could probably give it a shot because you've already finished 10 months full-time work experience. So if you could be a good candidate for the ROI, even though because of the work limitation, you have to work 24 hours a week, that's not your fault now. You could try, put in an ROI and see how it goes. If they are, like I said, there's a very less, the nomination places are very less. So it's eventually the discretion of migration SA to select your ROI from the number of ROIs that they would be receiving. They would definitely be receiving a lot of ROIs this financial year. So give it a shot. You might just be eligible. Okay, I'm a telecom engineer working in Victoria, same field since 3 years, PT 785 plus 5 points. I have 2 degrees, telecommunication and engineering technologies. What are the chances for 491, 190, and which degree should I prefer? So if it doesn't matter which degree you preferred, engineering occupations, all of them have the same requirements. If you go in for a telecommunication engineer or if you go in as a engineering technologist, the main thing is that are you working in your nominated occupation? If you're in Victoria, the only thing you can do is put in a registration of interest and go in for the highly talented stream. But that also says that you need to be working in high tech or digital, or then related, your job experience has to be in the defense or space industry. And then that you've got an offer from an employer in South Australia. So, yeah, you could be eligible in the highly talented stream if you meet those requirements. And then otherwise make the move to South Australia, find a job in your field in South Australia. If you've got that 3 years work experience, you could definitely try and find a job in SA. So if you're interstate, then the only occupation is only stream is the highly talented and the highly skilled and talented stream for interstate applicants. So, what are the chances for chef? 65 points, as a graduate, 2 years work experience. Okay, that's fine. You've got 2 years work experience. Are you currently working 30 hours per week? If you're working 30 hours per week, 6 months, then yes, you are eligible. You can submit your expression of interest or registration of interest. If your visa is expiring, if your application would be prioritized, you've got those 2 years work experience, your application would be prioritized, should be prioritized, I mean. And then what else did I have to tell you? 65 points. Yeah, the question is that if you're working full time, 30 hours per week, if you're on your 485, if you've done your job ready program, then you should have been on a 485 visa. If you're on a 485, then you would be eligible because you're doing 30 hours per week. Try and put in a registration of interest and see how it goes. Good luck to you. All right, so I've got another one here. When will the next essay invitation round take place? Invitations to apply for South Australia's nomination will be sent on an ongoing basis throughout this financial year. This is what they have mentioned on their website. ROI, how long is the ROI processing can take? No, there is no specific timelines that they have given. ROI processing can take anything between, I have no idea actually. There is no processing time that they've mentioned. It's just you have to go with what is there available to us. The information available to us is that they will prioritize applications on the basis of if you're holding a temporary visa which will expire before 31st of August next year, you're turning 45 before 31st of August next year, you've got adequate skilled experience in your nominated occupation and you're working in the priority sectors such as health and medical science, trades and construction, early childhood and teaching, digital technology, food and agribusiness, creative industry, tourism and hospitality, and resources energy. If that's your case, if that's your scenario, then your application could be prioritized. There is no standard processing time given on their website. Okay. Let's see. Anybody has got, we've been into this discussion for the last 35 or 40 minutes. And thank you for listening to me today. And if you have any more questions, then I'll be happy to answer them. What you can do is just post them on the forum, on the platforms where we are live. Okay, one is saying, I have already submitted my visa application with South Australia nomination. I'm unsure about the next steps and documentation required. Can you provide an overview of the post nomination process and what to expect? So, when you say you've submitted your visa application, so what does that mean? Have you lodged a visa application on IMI account? Have you submitted your state nomination application on the government's website? It depends upon where you're at your process. We can assist you with your documentation, but we don't generally do a DIY thing. So you can come into our office and speak to one of the registered migration agents or speak to me, and I can assess your profile, take over your entire application, but we don't do DIY. If you're doing it yourself, then you're doing it yourself. If you need to do it through us, then we take over your entire application and we'll assist you with the entire thing. So what we usually do is we assist you with your end-to-end process, assess your application, assess your profile, start with assessing whether you're eligible, and then um, lodge your application, create everything on your behalf, go through the documentation with you, make sure everything is perfect, and then submit the application for you. And then we lodge your application with the department, and then we're with you till the time your visa is granted. So that's a good thing, isn't it? Okay. And then one more question. Can I claim 5 points AOI for 1 year experience? I certainly you can. You can claim 5 points if your assessment is done by your assessing authority, and if you've got a date deemed skilled, then it's recommended that you claim work experience after the date deemed skilled on your assessment. You would need work experience documents because the department is going to assess your work experience separately. If you've claimed 5 points, then you would want to make sure that you've been paid for that job on and you've been working in the relevant skill level and not at the lower skill level. So yeah, you can claim 5 points. You will have to provide adequate documents when you lodge your visa application for the claimed work experience. Okay, I'm offshore and applied for 491 for secondary teacher. Any chance for getting? You've applied for a ROI, I believe, expression of interest. You're saying from offshore. Uh, it's the same thing. I have been repeating this during the session. For offshore, the applicants that would be prioritized would be the people with a lot of work experience in their field, with high English ability, and with EOI points, high EOI points. If that is your scenario, then you could get a invitation. High points for 491, the probably the highest for 491. If you're doing secondary school teacher, then you generally need to have superior English. That is their requirement, 7788, right? Isn't it? With the assessing authority. So you will have that high English, but what about the work experience? So if you've got good work experience, then put that in your expression of interest and you could be invited. Okay. I'm a chef with 70 points. Any chance for 190 working in regional South Australia, 1.5 years work experience? Yeah, they are prioritizing applicants with, that's what they say. They're going to be prioritizing applicants working in the tourism and hospitality. So you're working as a chef in a restaurant, so you could be eligible. You could have a good chance, but this is their discretion. They have got very limited places this financial year. So we'll see how the program year goes. I cannot really comment or really give you a guarantee or anything of that sort whether your application would be picked up or not. But if you meet the requirements mentioned on their website, if you meet the requirements for this financial year's program, then certainly we can assist you with submitting your registration of interest and taking a closer look at your profile and guiding you along with the process. How much points required to get invitation for 189? I am not actually discussing 189, which is a federal government's visa, on this forum. I am basically answering queries for South Australia. So, but generally, I believe for IT, it's the highest point, 95 points, 90 points that would be considered, but they have not invited those occupations as yet for 189 in the last financial round, which happened, I think, last year in December. The occupations that were invited were health and social workers and teachers. So none of the IT occupations were invited for 189 last year. Okay, I have applied for SA 190 ROI for interstate, highly skilled and talented. Can I expect an ROI result? South software engineer 80 plus 5 points. Okay. Yeah, you could expect a result if you've got those many years of work experience. But from what I understand, is for the highly talented stream, you need to have an offer from a South Australian employer. So if you've already commenced employment in South Australia, oh no, you don't need to have an offer. Sorry about that. If you're in South Australia, so okay, software engineer. So if you are saying that your work experience is related to the high tech and you have provided your statement of how your work experience is relevant to those sectors, those professions mentioned on their website, because the application would ask you for that information. So provide as much information, make it as much relevant as possible, and then you could wait for a successful outcome. So that's what we do for you. If I feel that your statement is not clear, the statement that you need to write, the 300 200 word, or what is the number of word statement that you need to write in your application, and we'll see whether you put in the right information in that. They just want you to write a statement of how um, your experience relates to those sectors mentioned on the website under that stream, and then you need to make it as relevant and as close as possible, and then your application could be successful. I have 5 years of work experience in USA, network engineer, and now I am in Adelaide. What's the best that I can do? So I presume you've got your skills assessment as a network engineer and you're an SA. So you need, if you've got a job in your field and you're working in the high tech sector and you've got those 5 years work experience and you're an SA and you've got a employment contract and you've started to work in your occupation, that's they want that you've got an employment contract, you've started to work, you're working time, then you can be eligible through the highly skilled and talented stream. Okay, I have completed certificate 4 in commercial cookery and essay and working as a chef for 2 years, 6 months. I think I've already answered this one. If you're on a temporary visa, if you work full time as a chef for the last 2 years, you can put your ROI, you can contact us and we can assist you with the entire process. So, yeah, you meet the criteria for a registration of interest and you can probably submit, or you must have already submitted your ROI. So yeah, you can submit an ROI or contact us for, you are eligible. If you're working full time 30 hours a week, then as a chef, then you are eligible. And if you've got your assessment, yeah, so working as a chef, you would have got your assessment, you've got the other requirements, English test results, everything, then generally, yes, you are eligible. I have applied ROI for architectural draftsperson with 190 with 75 points, working in the field for 21 months. Okay, but what is your location? Are you in South Australia? Are you interstate? If you are in South Australia, have you been working full time for the last 6 months? You will have to wait for the department, for the government to reply back to you for the outcome on your application. There's basically nothing you can do. Right now, it's just a waiting game. If you've submitted your ROI already, then just wait for the outcome. Um, and then obviously, we need to also know whether your visa is expiring sooner or so. If they've also mentioned that if your 485 is expiring soon and you've not yet received a reply from them, then you would want to consider applying for a 485 extension. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up now because we've gone through um, the queries that I had, and then I've been speaking to you for an hour. So it says one last one that I'm going to answer. What about outer regional in Adelaide? It's removed. Yes, outer regional is removed. That is such a shame. There have been so many people working in regional South Australia, Reema, Whyalla, such beautiful places, and they have removed the stream. But yeah, so regional stream is removed. Maybe you could be eligible for another stream if you're working in your nominated occupation. If you're working in your nominated occupation, even in regional South Australia, you can still apply if you're working in your occupation. But if you're working in not in your occupation, then you are not eligible. They have made the process very clear for this program here. They want you to be working in your occupation. They want to pick those critical sector applicants to fill the places that the state, probably it's because of the shortage of skills in those sectors. So, but generally, if you're working in any field not related to your occupation, then you would not be eligible. You would want to look at other visa options that I have mentioned, extensions of your temporary graduate visas for those people who can get their employers to sponsor you, and we can assist you with all of those visas as well. We are here for that. We've been doing that for a long time, so definitely get in touch with us. Office number is 0882215264. Thank you so much for your time to listen to me, and thank you. Bye bye.